We sat down and I told them, look, I also can process what I hear better if I don't give eye contact. I mean, and it's all because I sincerely want to hear what you have to say. These were the accommodations as an adult I was at least in my 40s or 50s, had to be 50s because I didn't discover autism until the 50s. And I'm still having to do that because I recognize my limitations. So, what can you do? Yes, make it easier.
Hi, I'm Staci Neustadt. I am a speech language pathologist and the CEO at Making Sense of Autism, and I'm a student of Susan.
And I'm Susan Golubock. I am a now retired occupational therapist who has worked many, many years after I discovered even my own autism with other autistic individuals. I founded Making Sense of Autism because of my passion to not only understand my brain and how it worked differently, but to try to explain what I've learned to other people so that they're more understanding and therefore more accepting and more accommodating to autistic individuals.
So, our goal is to help you provide the right support without trying to fix autism, but by understanding it. So, whether you're a parent, teacher, therapist, or just someone who wants to learn, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe and join us every week. We talk about a new topic. Thank you for being here with Making Sense of Autism and taking the time to better understand autistic individuals. If our message today resonates with you, make sure to subscribe and follow along. We also share weekly newsletters with free tools and ideas that you can use right away. Be sure to sign up at Making Sense, www.makingsenseofautism.com. I'm going to share today our framework for soft skills. And we want you to see where social communication falls. It's right here in the middle. But oftentimes, especially as speech therapists, we see somebody who is able to use language or appears to need social communication support just because they have a diagnosis of autism. And we jump straight into this skill. But did we look or assess any of these skills to see if they've developed? Today, we're going to talk about body awareness because you can see that's one of those foundation skills. It does come before social awareness. What if social communication struggles aren't actually social skills problems? What if the real struggle is much deeper? It is that body awareness. It's the stress signals, sensory processing, or even feeling safe enough to connect. So, Sue, I think a lot of people hear the word social communication or social skills and immediately think eye contact, conversations, greetings, or behavior. And then they think, oh, I need to have my child or my client in a social skills group. But with our soft skills framework, we look at something much deeper. Can you explain to us why body awareness actually impacts social connection?
It goes to the differences in the neurological development of the autistic brain, in that our body awareness, we're getting messages from our body, or the typical people are getting messages from your body constantly, subconsciously, where you're not even aware of that. If you do something with your body and you decide, oh, I want to get a drink of water, you don't even think about what does my body need to do to get up, walk to the kitchen, find a glass, open the cupboard, pour the thing. You don't think, you just tell your body, do it. Well, if you've ever experienced having your arm or leg fall asleep, you know what it's like to lose that sense of what we call proprioception, the receptors inside your muscles and joints. Your muscles still move, but the sensation doesn't tell you what it's doing so that you can control it. Imagine if you're not getting adequate sensation from your body muscles that help you control your movements, plan your movements, coordinate your movements. Um, and that includes movements of the eyes, movements of the mouth to speak, um, even the sensations you get from your lungs that tell you how to um, pause for breath in between words. I tend to run out of breath because I'm not getting that input when I talk, and it's like, oh, my goodness. So if you're not getting that, it requires conscious effort on your part, on part of the autistic, to direct the body to do what it needs to do. Now, that takes away from, because I'm very self focused on, oh, I want to speak. Oh, I'm supposed to give eye contact. Oh, I'm supposed to be reading their body language when I don't even feel my own body language because my sensations from my muscles, of my eye muscles, my facial muscles, um, they're not telling me what my body is doing. So I may be giving false messages to other people in terms of body language. And then I wonder why they don't either believe me, or they think I'm not paying attention. Um, they misread my body language all the time. And I am so busy just dealing with making my body do what it needs to do that um, I've never learned to read anybody else's body language because I don't feel it myself. You can't understand what you've never experienced. So all of that plays a role in my ability to stand there and carry on a casual conversation like most people do. Um, and this is why social interactions are exhausting for us.
That makes sense because you just talked about how we often expect autistic individuals to pick up on reading nonverbal communication or understanding how to interpret somebody else. But have we asked them or figured out, can they do it themselves? And we even talked about this last week, where if somebody is not aware of themselves with that self-awareness, how can they be aware of it in other people?
Mhm.
And then I can see how that's exhausting. We often talk about when autistic individuals are working in one part of their brain, which the body part of their brain is different than the language part of their brain. So if they're focusing so hard on getting that input from their body, having that language piece or adding that in a conversation has got to be really, really difficult. And I want to kind of describe what does this look like? So I know when I work with autistic individuals, whether they're young or old or high support needs, low support needs, I often find that I watch for kind of that body awareness of, are they constantly crashing into things or clumsy bumping into things? That gets my brain starting to think, okay, especially if they're crashing, they're seeking input because they don't know where their body is and they're wanting that input. Or if they're clumsy, they don't know where their body is in space. And like you said, if they're focusing so hard, because this is that difference between autistic brain and non-autistic brain, if they're focusing so hard on where their body is, think about when you have to, when someone gives you multiple things to do at one time, that's overwhelming. And research has shown that nobody's good at multitasking. It is not a thing. I know we say it's a thing, but it is not. When you try to multitask, you end up failing in one thing or another because your brain isn't focused on that one thing. Specifically, so something else falls to the wayside. So that's kind of that same idea. So, with that said, if we need to be more aware of, does the individual we're working with have that body awareness? if we realize, you know what, they don't have that body awareness, they are constantly sensory seeking in their body, they are very clumsy, what are some things that we can easily incorporate every day to kind of build that body awareness?
Well, I'll tell you what I've had to do as an adult. When someone was saying something, I really wanted to hear what they had to say. I had to advocate for myself to say, look, I want to hear what you have to say, but I'm more comfortable if we could sit down. We were standing because I knew I couldn't I'd have to focus on maintaining a posture. If I was to listen, it would distract me. So we sat down and I told them, look, I also can process what I hear better if I don't give eye contact. I mean, and it's all because I sincerely want to hear what you have to say. These were the accommodations as an adult I was at least in my 40s or 50s, had to be 50s because I didn't discover autism until the 50s. And I'm still having to do that because I recognize my limitations. So, what can you do? Yes, make it easier. If you're going to have a social conversation, don't expect them to stand there and give you eye contact. They're going to fidget. And you're going to misinterpret that as, oh, they're bored. They're anxious to leave or something. Um, um, Sit down with them. Make it so that they are comfortable first. Are you comfortable? Let's be comfortable before we talk. So sitting down, yes, relaxed where I've got support in the chair. Postures. I don't have to deal with posture. Um, and all I need to focus on is just breathing and the oral, forming the words, the lip. And you say I always struggle sometimes still getting the words out um, easily. I struggle. So make it as easy as possible on them. Do not expect eye contact other than encouraging, go at their own pace. Um, Give them time to process and then figure out how to respond that they want. If there's something that you want them to do while you're talking. Otherwise, respect the fact that this is not easy. So make it easier for them and they'll be more comfortable doing it.
I had a client the other day tell me that when she has to look at somebody because they feel like that is what she needs to do for respect or whatnot. She said she literally gets like the fuzzy sound from a TV or the old TVs in the old days when it's not working and that fuzz sound. She said that yeah, she cannot look at someone and listen because she's focusing so hard on watching them that it's like a fuzz sound in her brain instead of hearing the words that they're saying. And again, that's forcing them to work in two parts of their brain that they can't at the same time. And like you said before, we don't often understand because we don't experience life that way. Now, this is an individual who obviously had that self-awareness and could express that.
Mhm.
So I know one way that I build that self-awareness with body awareness is I'm constantly saying, I notice, and then am I right? Like I have a client who will be doing an activity, all of a sudden he'll just get up and start walking. And I've picked up on the pattern that sometimes he gets up and he gets distracted, but for the most part, he just gets up and he just needs to move. So I say to him every time, oh, I notice your body must need to move because you're getting up and walking around. Am I right? And then inevitably he'll move and he'll come back and sit down and he'll kind of look at me. And so in that situation, I am right. He just needs to get up and move. And I do that too with a lot of my clients who use a lot of nonverbal communication to get their body awareness needs met, whether that's like laying on me or grabbing my hands to squeeze. This is even for kids who might bite. And it can be really confusing with biting because we interpret biting as like a cruel thing. They're trying to bite us, they're trying to hurt us. But again, it's oftentimes not. When you look at it, if you have a kiddo who bites when they're happy, bites when they're mad, that is them seeking that input. And so
Input the
again,
jaw muscles for speaking.
exactly. And calming, speaking and calming, they're trying to get that input. And so saying again, oh, I noticed your mouth needs something to chew on. I don't want you to chew on me. That hurts. Here's something else you can chew on. Having a fanny pack with those chewy toys and jewelry, or, making sure they get in that chewy food, jerky that they can chew on, because they're basically telling you what they need. But again, our brains go to, this is aggressive behavior. And don't get me wrong, they might do it when they're mad, but again, they're trying to calm themselves. But when we continue to say, I notice, especially when they're calm, because when they're escalated, that's not the time to use language. But talking about when they're calm is going to build that body awareness. Oh, yeah, I do lay on you. And that is what I'm wanting is squeezes. I do bite. And that is what I'm wanting is something chewy.
Mhm.
Now those are obviously scenarios for individuals who may be considered high support needs, but I also do see this with some of my kiddos who are lower support needs, but maybe they're younger, so they don't have that awareness yet. So they're the ones that are biting on their shirts or biting on their pencils. So again, notice and talking about it. We don't talk enough about what we're noticing. And the problem with that is then the individuals aren't building the self-awareness of the body needs that they have, the sensory needs that they have. So, and then even when we talk about ourselves, like, oh, did you hear my tummy growl? I must be hungry. Or, oh, my mouth feels really dry. I must be thirsty. When we talk more about these things, we're building awareness around how we knew what our body needed. So this really creates growth without shame. Because think about, we might use a lot of shaming language to say, why are you doing that? Instead, getting curious. I wonder if, and that body awareness connection is really connected to emotional regulation. Wouldn't you say, Sue?
Oh, absolutely. How we feel about ourselves. And if we don't feel we have control over our ability to control our body, how is it we feel we have emotional control when our body doesn't do what we need or want it to do? We're going to get frustrated with ourselves, not necessarily you, but we're going to be frustrated because of that. And we're expressing our emotional frustration that you don't see are coming um, because it's not frustrating for you. You never even think about what your body is doing.
Yeah.
It's so it just does what you want it to do, and it's not an issue, but for us it is, and it can become very frustrating because we're in that situation of trying to multitask, controlling our body and our movements and our facial expressions and our eye contact and blah 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 blah, and coordinate our breathing with our talking. All of that we're struggling with, and then we can see you're making expectations of us, or you're misreading our body, what we're doing as we're bored, we're fidgeting, um, yes, it's going to affect us emotionally in that we don't feel comfortable or safe
Yeah.
in that situation. So we avoid it.
And I love you brought up fidgeting because that's body awareness too, like realizing that I need to move when I'm learning or listening. And again, all those things are things that we can point out and get curious about without shaming language. So please today take away empathy. Autistic individuals are working so hard during any sort of social communication. And so if they aren't giving eye contact, or if all of a sudden they walk away, maybe they're not aware of their body in that moment. And so get curious and inquire. What
What would
we
you
can,
do if your arms and legs were asleep? First thing you want to do is you keep moving in order to get the sensation back. You can't stand it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that explains why a lot of times we seek input to our body. So we're constantly, and I've seen autistics, they're all over themselves with their arms
Mhm.
and like constantly moving, getting the feedback to get the sensation that they have their body. Their body is there and it's intact and they need that input and it's not there.
And when you notice those things, name it. Get curious. Hey, I notice you do this. I'm curious. Does that help you listen? Does that help you think about our conversation? Does that help you be aware of where your body is? So, empathy and naming what you're observing. And remember, social communication doesn't start with performance, it starts with safety, awareness, regulation, and connection. So we have to start at that bottom part of our framework in order to have successful social communication. Thank you so much. Great information, Sue. And I hope you all take a little bit away today and come back and let us know what you observe and what you notice and how you're supporting your autistic clients or students or children differently with these ideas we're providing. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you for asking, Stacy.